Hi, everyone. Darren Lynch, founder and CEO of Irish Titan, here with another whiskey shot. And I am graced today by one of my best friends, and that is an authentic statement, as he knows, one of my best friends in the ecosystem, Quentin from ShipperHQ. Quentin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Darren. I'm glad Dana dropped off that check to you to say that last week while she was in Minneapolis.
I did make fast friends with Dana, too, but we'll leave that for another whiskey shot. So, Quentin, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience real quick?
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. My name is Quentin. I am the COO here at ShipperHQ.
And tell everybody a little bit about ShipperHQ.
ShipperHQ is the shipping platform that focuses on the experience in the cart and checkout of all of the big e-commerce platforms in the world.
It's so concise. It's bulletproof. I love it.
I've gotten better at it. eight years in, I should be getting better at it.
Yeah, true. Right. Sometimes when people ask me Irish Titan questions and I nail real concisely, they'll say something like that. I'm like, well, hell, I started a company 19 years ago. I better be able to say it pretty concisely.
That's how it goes. It takes time.
Right. So Quentin, given our history, given your experience, given what ShipperHQ really does and specializes in, I think that one of the topics we can dig around on a little bit is the shipping experience at checkout. And investing in that, elevating that. So you want to share some of your thoughts, and then we'll riff around from that point.
Yeah, I love that. This is such an interesting topic, because I think it's in the last couple of years, it's really started to come to the forefront of it, because I think a lot of people go through and they curate the experience of the website to hire an agency like yourself to focus on the search, the images, the metadata, the SEO ranking. But it really comes down to shipping at the end of it. And I don't just say that because I work for a shipping company. It's really interesting. 90% of people say that over half of the experience overall on the website is the shipping at the end of the website. So all throughout all of it, 90% of people, 90% of over half have said shipping is the driver.
Wow.
And it's a huge number, and it's not one that I think enough people talk about. I went to the Adobe Summit earlier this year, and I went through this massive AI conversation of how to integrate everything, how to make everything beautiful. And you got to it, and it was a flat rate $5 shipping. So you curate an entire experience and you want to focus on that, but it's just not, the lens isn't there yet. And I'm glad that we're putting it there for this conversation.
Yeah. I think that I have these conversations quite frequently too, where it's sexy to focus on the UX and the UI and the branding. And that's also important. But I think
yes, also important.
It's easy for people to gravitate towards that, right? It's sort of like curb appeal to a house. Mm-hmm. But then if you go inside the house and it's not a pleasant experience, or if it's rotting and crumbling, then you're going to get the hell out of that house pretty quickly. And the shopping experience is like that. I mean, when I was at Shop Talk earlier this year, I did an interview, and one of the things that I mentioned that is the biggest pain point for me, the biggest thorn in my paw, the number one thing that will cause me to bounce is poor shipping transparency at time of checkout. And you'll laugh at this, but the reason it was top of mind for me then was my phone case. I have a green, of course, wallet iPhone case. I carry my cards in there. Mm-hmm. Don't anybody steal it if you ever see my phone. The case broke, and so I needed a new case because I don't have a wallet. Mm-hmm. And of course, I needed a green one.
100%.
So I bounced on one site, another site, and a third site, because they weren't telling me when I would get it, what it would cost, until after I checked out, right? And so I think that is sort of blocking and tackling in today's e-commerce to provide that information.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, not to keep throwing numbers, but 61% of people abandon their cart because of exactly what you're talking about, unsatisfactory shipping experiences. And I think that, when I think back to the first Ecomm forum we were at, we talked about this, and we've been banging this drum, you and I, for 5-6 years now at this point. But there's one website we all order from because they just do that. And any e-commerce platform that you have your website on can do it too. There's nothing stopping you from giving it that ability to show that delivery date, to offer that transparency. I think that even for you, if you would have known that phone case would have delivered the week after, at least you knew, like, hey, I can get the date from that website. You kind of file that away. Right. Even in that example of you needing it sooner, the better way to do it is to show that expedited, make it a little bit more expensive, like make your problem your profit. Like, hey, I'll make a little bit of my profit, make a little bit of money on it. Like, we see some customers add, 15, 20% on that because their warehouse has a little bit more work, but it's just that simple thing of just saying, hey, it's going to get here then, or hey, it's going to get here between these days. Like the range is a great place to start.
Right. I love the phrase you just dropped, make their problem your profit.
100%.
Right. That is a spectacular saying. Mic drop on that one.
We're gonna have to clip this whole thing. I got to send this to the marketing team.
But you're right. Like I would have paid for expedited shipping because it was my problem. I knew
Exactly.
that, but I wanted and needed a green case.
It's that simple. I think that when people talk about this, I think that there's like this, all of a sudden it becomes a buzzword, like shipping experience. Like, what does that mean? There's just simple things that you can do from that, whether it's just updating the language on your site so customers can see when an item could ship or what the free shipping threshold is, all the way down to getting into like that really, really technical stuff where you can start doing, really targeted free shipping on the items you have a higher margin on, doing that delivery date, getting tricky with it on the items and saying, hey, there's an extra lead time on this, or you can pay me more for it. That's when you get to that surface level, is really when you can start digging and digging and digging and really seeing how you can make shipping either strategically a profit center or strategically a break even, and you're giving your customers a better experience down the road.
Right. Do you think now that e-commerce has matured to some degree, right? Like we could argue where we are in a baseball game, right? Like which inning it is, but I would say we're somewhere in the middle innings still. It's not like e-commerce is matured and no longer going to evolve or grow. There's still a lot of upside. B2B has lots of space to grow. I believe in this concept of commerce anywhere, because I think shoppable video and voice and all that stuff is going to continue to grow. But given that we have matured at least to some degree, do you feel like there has been, or maybe is at least, some growing acceptance of the importance of the shipping experience?
I think so. I think that as people are looking at what they can enhance, that is where we're starting to get to. Because I think a lot of people, when you think of shipping, you think of labels and you think of tracking. You think of how fast can I get you your label and how fast can I send you that tracking link and when does that package get there? I think that a lot of that focus has been on that post order. And as the commerce piece and as that's expanding, I think that gap is starting to become more and more prevalent. And I'm excited because that's, for selfishly plugging, that's the gap that we sit in. And that's where we see really that science of conversion versus the science of, hey, can I batch and print labels faster?
Right.
Which is still important, but not where you can actually make a conversion update on your website.
And you shared some pretty powerful numbers earlier in this conversation that really unveil how important that is in shoppers' minds.
Oh yeah, and the biggest thing that I always think of is like, what experience would I want to hit on my website? Like if I was running an e-commerce website, I would just go through it, click on a new browser, add something to your cart, your favorite item you sell, and then just look at it and say, like, would I click yes to one of these? Because that place order button or that order, that's the holy grail to get them to click. And the last thing they see before that is that shipping cost. So that's how important that is to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the phrases you use when we talk about some of this stuff, when we're talking shop and not just talking as friends, is delivery transparency. Is there anything else you'd like to share under that big umbrella, delivery transparency?
Yeah, I think that with delivery transparency, without wishing to make this whiskey shot a whiskey bottle, what I would say you could focus on is just what is going on in the warehouse that you're comfortable sharing with a customer. Does it take you 2 days for us to get an item out the door? Own it. Put it on the product level. Item ships in 2 days. The more information you can give to a customer, the better. Now, they might not read it, but then there's the ability to do things within systems, like ourselves, that allow you to calculate and show that to a customer. But whatever you're doing in a warehouse level, if you think it's going to give customers that one extra inkling, that one little extra push, in your case, to order that phone case that a delivery date would give, focus on that. Give that little nudge and then iterate. You don't need to tell them everything. Hey, Larry works 9 to 6 between 12 and 1. That's when lunch is. Don't worry about that level, but just find that one thing in the warehouse that you can share to the customers on the front end and think about, what does transparency mean for your business?
Yeah, that's great. So as we wrap this up, I'll give you the floor to share one final point, to either reiterate something or wrap up a takeaway in another manner. And then we'll move on from this whiskey shot and wrap it up for the audience.
Love it. I think the one thing I would say is think about what you're showing the customer before they click order. Own that narrative. That narrative there is customizable, just like the color of your website is. Are you giving the best experience you can? If you're not, then think about that. Reach out to, your agency, your e-com director, talk to somebody about that, talk to your platform. Hey, how can I make that just 1% better? Because that conversion rate and getting some of those 90% of people to follow your way is what we're all after.
Great, great. Well, Quentin, thanks for all the partnership over the years. Thanks for the Ecomm forum support. For those of you watching, I would say that Quentin, Joe, Dan, and the entire ShipperHQ team is an avatar for what's the best of the ecosystem in terms of how they take care of the clients, how they're building their company, and how they work with agencies like ours. So can't say enough good things about you and the team over there, Quentin. Thanks for all the partnership over the years. And I see you wore green today, whether it's accidental or intentional.
Always on purpose. Anytime I'm with the Titans, I'm wearing green.
All right. So with that, we'll wrap up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Quentin, thanks for the content and friendship and the partnership, and we'll see everyone soon. Sláinte.
Awesome. Thank you.